I hope all of you are doing fine. In today's lecture, we will be discussing about simplest way in which the Mealy and Moore machines are converted into one another. So one of the first parts that we will be discussing would be your conversion of Mealy to Moore machine. And the second part of this lecture will focus on conversion from Moore to Mealy machine. Now, if I talk about conversion of Mealy to Moore machine, so simplest steps would be: first, focus on transitions. Find output of states in transition. See, first step is we are going to focus on transitions. So transitions means whatever transitions we are having. Then we will be finding the output of states in the transition and create new states for variable outputs. Means I will try to find out, firstly focus on the transition outputs only. If there is a variation, then it means I will create new states. If there is no variation, I will not create any states. And at the end, obviously, because we are converting from Mealy to Moore, so every state will have an output. So we will be given a Mealy machine where transition is given, a transition part is having the output. And at the end, I will have every state is associated with the output. So let's just discuss about how it will be converted. Yeah. So here you go. You have a Mealy machine with you. There is initial state which is Q1 and the states with 0 and 1 in output are given. So this is input 0, this is input 1, and these are the outputs of transition. So these are the outputs of transition. So what I intend to do is that I will try to find the output of transitions, and I will try to find the output of those states in the transitions as well. Like focus on transitions means that I will focus on this and then I will focus on this, right? So firstly I will focus on this. Here Q3 is having an output of 0, right? Then Q1, it is Q1 by the way, Q1 is having the output 1, right? Then Q2 is having the output 1, and then Q4 is having the output 1. This is output of transition with 0 input, and now I'm checking Q2 output is 0. So Q2 output already you have written 1, so you have got 0 over here. So Q4 output is given 0, so over here Q4 output you have written 1, and now it is having the output of 0. Q1 output is 1, it is clearly written over here, its output is 1, and Q3 output is clearly written over here as 0. So obviously guys, if you can see in this particular whole scenario, that the output of transitions, what I initially wanted to do, my initial part was I tried to find the output of transition. So we have got those transition outputs and output of that transition with that particular state. So it means initially I pitched on this and then I pitched on that. From this I got the output of Q3 as 0 and 0. From that I got the output of Q1 as 1 and 1. But if you can see the output of Q2, here it is 1, here it is 0, and here it is again 1, here it is again 0. So I clearly can tell you that the variation, so this output 0, Q3 output is 0, so it is entirely 0. Why? Because there is no variation. Q1 output is 1, so there is no variation in this. But in this particular part, so Q2 actually has two outputs. So it means we have a variation with us, and same applies with Q4. It is also having two outputs. It means we are having a variation. So wherever variation is, you create two states. So first state is Q2 0, Q2 1. So why I created two states? Because I'm not certain what is the output of Q2. It can be it can be 0, it can be 1. So I created two states for Q2, and similarly I created two states for Q4 also, Q4 0 and Q4 1. Why I created those states? Because Q2 was having the output of 1 0, and similarly Q4 was having the output of 1 0. But why I didn't create for Q3 and Q1? Because both were having the outputs of 0 and 1. There was no variation at all. So wherever variation happens, I will create two states, Q2 0, Q2 1, Q4 0, Q4 1. So Q2 0, its output is 0 defined. Q2 1, its output is 1. I'm just taking output from this particular scenario. Similarly, I will create for Q4, it would be Q4 0. Q4 0 is having the output of 0, and Q4 1 is having the output of 1. This was my very first step. And second step is take the reference of this table. So I will be taking the reference of this table, and I'm going to create that particular table from this scenario. Just see over here. We have the whole scenario written over here. This is input 0. This is input 1. So how I'm going to write? So guys, I would like to tell you that there are some changes that we have done. So those changes, it will be reflected. So I start with Q1. So Q1 is my initial state. So I will start it with Q1. So Q1 when it is given 0, it goes to Q3. So I will check whether we have two variants of Q3. Q3 doesn't have any variant. So I'm writing Q3, and output of that particular transition was 0. So I'm writing that directly. Ditto same. And Q1, when 1 is given to it, it goes to Q2. But we have already changed our Q2 from Q2 0, Q2 1, and it will go to Q2, but which version of Q2? It will go to Q2, but which version of Q2? So it will go to that version of Q2 which is having output 0. So we have clearly written Q2 0. It will go to Q2, but which version of Q2? Which is having output 0. So obviously we have written Q2 not, and because that is having the output of 0, so I will write Q2 not 0. This was my very first. Fine. I hope this is clear. So next we have same thing we are going to do. We are going to refer. Now let me tell you how we have to write Q2. So guys, Q2 is not Q2 anymore. Q2 is having two outputs. So I will write Q2 not Q2 1. Everything would be same apart from both answers will be same. Apart from that, we have just Q2 is now divided into two states, Q2 not and Q2 1. So Q2 when it is given 1, it goes to Q1. So obviously Q1 is having output of 1. I will write Q1 1. Same answer I will write over. Don't need to waste time. Q2 not, when it is given 0, it goes to Q4. But which version of Q4? The version which is having output 0, you will have to write that version. So again, Q4 has two versions. One is having output 0, one is having output 1. So I will write output 0 because over here I got the answer of 0. So I will write Q4 0, Q4, Q4 0 and 0. Then we got Q3. So I will write Q3. Which version of Q3? Q3 is actually only one version only. So Q3 when it is given, this is Q1 by the way. Q3 when it is given 0, it goes to Q2. So which version of Q2 which is having output 1? So Q2 1 which is having output 1, I will write Q2 1 1. And Q3 when it is given 1, it goes to Q1, and Q1 output is 1 already defined. Now I will write Q4 0 and Q4 1. Right. It's very simple. Q4, when it is given 0, it goes to Q4. But which version of Q4? Which is having output 1. So I will write Q4 1 1. Q4 1 1. Q4 not, when it is given 1, it goes to Q3. And Q3 already has one output associated with it, 0. So this is the table that I constructed. All you have to do is, it's as simple as it can be. So it's as simple as it can be how to basically construct the entire part. Now after table is made, you have to write output of all states. Just write output of all states, your conversion is done. It means, guys, just see, when you are converting from Mealy to Moore, you are not concerned with transitions. So I will just remove transitions directly. Transition outputs I am removing. So when I'm converting from Mealy to Moore, so I'm not concerned with output of transition. So again, I'm removing the output of transition. Because we are converting from Mealy to Moore, Moore always represents the output of all states. So whatever output of all states are, you just write. We know what is the output of Q1. Q1 output is 1. What is the output of Q2 not? Output was 0. What is the output of Q2 1? Output was 1. What is the output of Q3? Output was 0 because there was no variation. Q4 0 output was 0 and Q4 1 output is 1. All you need to do is just write that output. Your question is done. This is the output for you just have to write the output of this particular term. Q1 output was 1. I will just write that particular answer 1. Q2 not, the output was 0. I will write 0. Q2 1 output was 1. I'm writing. Q3 was having the output of 0. Q4 not was having the output of 0, and Q4 1 was having the output of 1. That's it. This is your Moore machine. And how you can construct? It's very simple. So you can clearly write Q1 when it is given 0, it goes to Q3, right? So similarly, Q1 when it is given 1, it goes to Q2 not, right? So again, Q2 not when 0 is given, it goes to. I'll just create the diagram again. Just a minute. To make sure that everybody can understand. I start the diagram again. Q1, right? When 0 is given, it goes to Q3. When 1 is given, it goes to Q2 not, right? Q2 not when 0 is given, it goes to Q1. Q2 not when 1 is given, it goes to Q4 not, right? Q2 1 when 0 is given, it go Q2 1. We have to just write Q2 1 also. We can write Q2 1, or I am just removing this whole particular transitions because since I explained that above, so to create more space, so I'm writing this Q2 1 Q2 1 when 0 is given, it goes to Q1, and when 1 is given, it goes to Q4 now. Q3 when it is given 0, it goes to Q2 1, right? And Q3 when 1 is given, it goes to Q1, and Q4 not when 0 is given, it goes to Q4 1, and it goes with 1, it goes to Q3. It goes to itself, it goes to Q3. And don't forget, every state is associated with output. So output of Q1 was 1, output of Q3 was 0, output of Q2 not was 0, its output was 0, Q4 1 output was 1, and Q2 1 output was 1. This is your respective Moore machine. So this is how you can actually convert from Mealy to Moore. Simple steps. Again, I'm concluding. First, write output of transition. Create states as per variable outputs. And then, very simple step, write output of states. Simple. Because at the end, you will get the output of states because you are converting from Mealy to Moore. So the next example is that we will be discussing would be your conversion of Moore to Mealy. This example we will be discussing will be conversion of Moore to Mealy. It is just 1 minute conversion. Simple step is write output of states, and simple second step is write output of states and substitute that output in transition. Means, because you are converting from Moore to Mealy, it means you will be concerned with the output of transition in the last. So whenever you write, because in Moore machine you always has an output of state, you always have an output of state. So the moment you take that particular output of the state, all you need to do that substitute that output in the transition. By default, it will be converted to Mealy machine. Simple example I can show. So you can see over here we have a particular example. Just see over here. What you need to do is you just need to basically write the output of states. So every state is associated with output since it is a Moore machine. So Q0 output is 0, Q1 output is 1, Q2 output is 0, and Q3 output is also 0. 0, 1, 00, you have certain four outputs for 4 states. All you need to do is substitute in transition. So it means all you need to do is substitute these outputs in these transitions. By default, your answer will come. So since you have already taken 4 outputs of the states, so first step is achieved. Your second step is how you will basically convert from Moore to Mealy. Second step is you have to substitute this output in the transitions. So we have Q0, we have a particular state with 0 and 1. All you need to do is substitute that outputs in the transition part. So we have got Q1, same I'm writing. We have got Q2 and we have got Q3. So this is your initial state. Q0 when 0 is given, Q0 when 0 is given, it goes to Q3. So I'm writing that. I'm even writing this answer Q3, Q1. We have got Q1, Q2, Q3. Ditto, copy and paste I'm doing. Now Q0 when 0 is given, it goes to Q3. So you just have to write the output of this Q3. So what is the output of Q3? 0. You just put that. Q1, you have written Q1. So what is the output of Q1? 1. You are writing. Q2 output is 0 and Q3 output is 0. Similarly, what is the output of Q1? 1. Output of Q2 was 0. Q3 output was 0. Q0 output was 0. So you are just substituting the output over here only. Only at that particular part you are just substituting. So Q3 output was 0. Q1 output was 1, Q2 output was 0, and Q3 output was 0. Similarly, you are putting the transition outputs over here. Q1 output was 1, Q2 output was 0, Q3 output was 0, Q0 output is 0. It's as simple. Take the output of the state and just substitute that in transition. So we have Mealy machine over here. How you can easily draw this. So how it can be drawn. So you just see over here. Just see, I'll be drawing in this because I need a space. So I have Q0. When it is given 0, it goes to Q3 and the output of that transition is 0. Q0 when it is given 1, it is going to Q1 and the output of that transition is 1. So Q1 when it is given 0, it goes to itself, output of that transition is 1. Q1 when it is given 1, it goes to Q2. The output of that transition is 0. So Q2 when it is given 0, it goes to itself, the output of the transition is 0. Q2 when it is given 1, it goes to Q3 and the output of that transition is 0. So Q3 when it is given 0, it goes to itself, the output of that transition is 1, and when it is given 1, it goes to Q1, Q0 and the output of that transition is 0. This is as simple. First step, write the output of states and substitute that in the transition of whatever the states that you have got. So thank you very, very much. If you have any doubts, just post it on comment section. I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.